So today we're here with Matthew Hutter from Iconium Networks, and how I like to start this off is just tell us who you are, what do you do, and who do you help?
Thanks for having me, Mark. As he said, I'm Matt Hutter with Iconium. We are an MSP located in Northeast Ohio, have been around nearly 20 years. We specialize, our 3 or 4 favorite industries or verticals, if you will. We like supporting our accounting firms, law firms, manufacturing clients, and churches and nonprofits. Yeah, and so we've grown. I haven't run the numbers, what percentage of our customers are those industries, but it could be a third or half are those industries.
Okay, so what do you find that is the same of those industries? Like what do you, is there a similarity between those, or why do you feel that you're really good at serving those customers?
I think my engineers like servicing those customers. Maybe we just have a good batch of nice people that we like working with. They believe in our technology. When we do annual business reviews or quarterly business reviews, we will tell them about what products they're missing, and in those industries, customers that we like will often buy more from us and kind of adopt our complete technology stack. No one wants to deal with a customer or industry that's cheap or doesn't believe in IT or want to follow your advice.
Yeah, so in the accounting space, we both service the accounting industry. Are you seeing firms move away from desktop-based software, or is that still pretty prevalent in the space?
We definitely are. We service accounting firms anywhere from 1 to 2 CPAs up to 20 or 30 at a bigger firm. There's still some, I think the accounting firms that are supporting, take QuickBooks for example, the desktop version, they're still doing it because their clients send them their files or drive them to them, God forbid, the QuickBooks desktop files. But the firms themselves, for their own accounting software, we are seeing a move to the cloud for many reasons. I might be stealing your thunder with your next question, but for security, it can be a hit financially when they're not used to paying monthly fees for cloud-based accounting software. If they were on QuickBooks or Thomson Reuters or something else back in the, I'm old enough to remember when people still ran it locally, exclusively desktop, they'd pay a fee once a year and then could use it all year. But once they're over the initial shock of paying a monthly fee for cloud-based accounting software, we love it because it's cake to support.
Right.
When my engineers roll out new desktops for them, that step on the checklist is easy. If it may need a plugin for the browser, but at most it's a URL they go to and easy to support.
Yeah, we definitely find that moving to the cloud base is much easier on the tech stack wise. You're not dealing with having to do an update every year to the software and dealing with all the headaches that come with that. And do you have any of your accounting firms that are using offshore staff?
No, but our biggest accounting customer had a hard time finding local talent in the Northeast Ohio market, and they grew to all 50 states. They were hiring people from all 50 states. So that wasn't offshore per se, but I believe there's still a labor shortage in the CPA industry. Kids are just not going into accounting and wanting to be CPAs as much anymore. And so we had to adapt with, we're kind of a full service shop, and this isn't offshore, but it's across the country. We would just be shipping laptops right out of FedEx or a UPS store for the client. It was like a complete one-stop shop for us. They'd tell us what they want, the name of the employee, and then I'd have one of my techs make sure that the day that new employee for the CPA firm, when they unbox that laptop on their first day of work, preferably a day or two before their first day of work, that we would be able to walk them through the password, maybe Duo, some MFA stuff. And so, yeah, none of our customers directly are offshoring yet.
But they're remote. What is the one thing that you think firms overlook when they decide, hey, we're going to hire people remotely? Like, what's the thing that they forget have to deal with?
I'm so glad you asked. We learned this in a hard lesson during the pandemic. It was really more hard for the customer. They had one of their employees at this accounting firm. She did not know where her wireless was coming from, who the ISP was, who was paying for it, or how much it costed. So imagine when my tech, people often complain about the speed of their machines. Really, it's the internet. I can't stand when businesses just go to speedtest.net and then I try to tell them there are 1,000 factors that affect the speed of the internet.
Yeah.
And so in this case, this was a young lady in her 20s living with her brother, and he was stealing his wireless from his apartment next door. And so we're like, step one, get your own internet. and we actually told the accounting firm customer, part of you guys are great in the HR and the accounting side at hiring candidates for your company that are skilled in the accounting framework, but please make sure they have solid internet before you hire them, because on day one, that was rough for us.
Yeah, so, I can imagine.
And along those same lines, Mark, you probably experienced this during the pandemic. We saw a lot of inferior equipment. Maybe I was terrible at selling work from home solutions for customers before the pandemic, but we all got a serious education from 2020 on. And we saw terrible computers because people didn't remote in from home much. And then, as I said before, terrible infrastructure. They either had the slowest internet or terrible internet. And so if I owned an accounting firm, that would be on my checklist to either run it by Iconium before we hire someone to make sure they meet minimum requirements, or recommend either a ISP speed or required hardware.
And what is something security-wise that firms need to consider when they decide to hire remote staff?
Pretty similar to that scenario, where if, God forbid, you and I really don't allow this with our MSPs, but if an accounting firm allowed people to use home machines, an MSP worth their salt is going to require a dedicated cybersecurity stack on it. Some of the older partners at firms might not get that. They're like, why? He's got a gaming machine. He paid $3,000 for this. Why can't he remote in with that? And we're like, we need to do a health check on it, have one of my techs remote into it, make sure it's up to snuff. Because in a way, you're allowing this external network into their corporate accounting firm network, and you want to keep them safe.
Yeah. And where do you see the accounting industry going technology-wise in the next 3 to 5 years?
Certainly more cloud-based solutions. And this is a side note, but still relevant. I think accounting firms would probably, just like us as MSPs, accounting firms support many industries. They would probably prefer all of their clients were using cloud-based solutions, because to allude to my earlier comment about having to drive your QuickBooks file on a flash drive to your accountant every April 15th is pretty inefficient. And so I think more cloud solutions for accounting firms, continuing to invest heavily in cybersecurity, and then AI does have a role with just in the US, the constant tax law changes. I'm pretty good friends with my own CPA that does my company's taxes, and currently he either attends webinars or goes to face-to-face events explaining tax law changes. I would imagine AI will have a greater role in keeping them up to speed with current tax law changes.
Yeah, I think AI definitely has a place when it comes to stated things like laws and rules and those things that are easily deciphered by a computer.
Yes.
That can read through 300 pages.
Totally.
Much faster and more efficient than a human possibly can.
I agree. They're like all of us in business. It's probably a steep learning curve at first, but then they'll adopt it.
And this doesn't have to be an accounting specific question, but what is something that any small business has to do, whether in accounting or any kind of professional services, what is something that they should be doing technology-wise that they're not?
I would say if they could either have an ambassador or liaison to their IT provider or MSP, maybe once a month, it could be a QBR, keeping them abreast of the latest technology changes. This one accounting firm I'm thinking of specifically, the two partners are in their 70s, and they don't either want to or they don't have the knowledge of emerging trends in our industry, keeping their accounting firm safe, adopting AI. And so if a company were to have a mechanism to either meet with the owner of the MSP or one of their engineers, keeping them abreast of all the changes, I think that could really help companies across all industries.
Yeah. What is a mistake that you're seeing companies make, either making an assumption about what they're getting from IT or something that they should be implementing internally, and they either assume that it's already done or they're not even asking for it?
This one leaps off the page for me. I would say controls with AI usage. For business owners that don't already know this, let's say a company has 20 employees. I would wager 17 to 18 are probably already feeding data into the large language models, and the owners of the business don't even know it. For those new to AI, if you're not paying for ChatGPT or Claude or one of them, and you're employee could be feeding an internal spreadsheet of sales numbers or customer, or God forbid in the healthcare space, or PII info. You need to have controls on the AI usage, because if you're not watching it, your employees are probably submitting data to the AI cloud unaware of it. And it could be a huge risk to the business.
Now, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? LinkedIn, or how should they reach out?
As a result of becoming friends with you, I'm way more involved on LinkedIn now, doing lots of posts. Our website is iconiumnetworks.com. Look for me on LinkedIn, or just Google Iconium. It's a very rare name for an MSP. But thank you for having me, Marc.
All right, thanks, Matt.